Welcome to Learn Commerce PU online classes. Don't forget to like our video and subscribe our YouTube channel for all the updates.
Good morning, students. Welcome to History online class. Today, let us see the Indian national movement. We have come through ancient age to the modern age. After discussion of the medieval period, the ruling of different rulers and dynasties, and gradually British came to India. Not only the British, various foreigners who invaded India right from the beginning of Alexander the Great till the British, and all these various stages, the Indian rulers fought against the foreigners. But still, when British or Europeans, especially French, Spanish, Dutch, English, they invaded India, they came to India, and now there was a great humiliation for Indians. And in 1857, for the first time, a sort of, a large movement was taken place, what we called the first war of independence, Indian independence. But the British explained it as a Sepoy mutiny. But still, after this, British were threatened for the power of Indians, because Indians, they fought like that. At the same time, it was not an organized movement. 1857 movement was not an organized movement, only confined it to northern India, and it was not at all felt by the southern part of India, and even the north, only a fraction of the northern part was felt. And that is why it was failed. 1857 was completely suppressed by the British. But after this movement, British also were alert towards the organized movement of India. They wanted to, stop these type of movements henceforth. Well, after this, what we can say, a Indian national movement from 1885 to 1947. In order to get independence, Indians tried their best for a long period from 1885 to 1947, and it's only after the establishment of Indian National Congress. So after the establishment of Indian National Congress, a systematic movement was organized by Indians. It was a constitutional movement rather than fight like the rulers, or war declared by the rulers between the British and Indian rulers. It is different. People participated. Why we call the national movement? Here, people participated in the movement. All sections of the society and all levels of people, they participated in this movement, and they led the movement against the British. That is why, and at the same time, this movement was not at all confined to particular area, a particular region, a particular province, but the 1885 onwards, the movement led by the Indians, which touched each and every part of India. People of different corners of India, they participated, and different stratas, people belong to different stratas, they also participated, and that is why we consider it as a national movement. Well, why and how this national movement was made possible? There are various factors for the rise of nationalism in India. Whether the Indians had the nationalism concept or a national notion of nation before 1885. No. However, these rulers, they fought against the British or against the foreigners. They might have had some, might have certain individual or selfish reason, and at the same time Jhansi Rani Lakshmibai and even various rulers, Tipu Sultan, Hyder Ali and Marathas and Oudh ruler, they have fought against the British, but they had their own cause, and that's why 1857 movement failed. But when we come to the national movement after 1885, there was no any selfish motive, selfish reason for fighting against the British. There was one reason, that is nation. And in order to emancipate nation from the hands of British, they wanted to fight against the British. And that's why there are various factors that led to the rise of nationalism in India. What we can say, factors led to rise of nationalism. In India or Indian nationalism, there are various factors that contributed for the emergence or rise of nationalism in India. People began to think about nation, nationalism, freedom, republicanism or democracy, this, that. When that created a stage, people, they thought of nation because of they had gained some notion. And that's why, what are the factors here that led to the rise of nationalism? Especially, as I said, the first one, that is British exploited Indians. How? British adopted exploitative policies towards India by introducing their economic policies. For example, free trade, and they made India as a colony. For example, Dadabhai Naoroji, he explained how British exploited India in the three different stages. And here, by trade, by industry, by financial capitalism, the various way, British, they drained the wealth of India to England. They exploited India. Economically, they made India poor. By making India as a colony. Colony for what? Colony for their raw materials. in order to feed the industries of England, they collected, that is, raw materials from India, and that raw materials were paid very low price, or Indians were compelled to cultivate the raw materials which they needed for what? Lower prices. And all the natural resources of India were exploited by British. And at the same time, by collecting this raw materials, and they fed the industries of England, they produced finished goods, and that finished goods brought into the Indian market, and it was sold out in Indian market. That affected Indian cottage industries, village industries, or it spoiled the Indian economy. So now Indians understood this is the exploitative measures taken by the British to suppress the Indians, to exploit the Indians, or make Indians poor. So that is why they understood. So these exploitative policies of British is one of the reasons for the rise of Indian nationalism. Secondly, uniform system of administration. Led to unity. Till British come to India, there was no unity among the Indians, because India was ruled by different rulers in the different parts of the country, and one ruler was against another ruler. He used to fight against another ruler. There was a battle between state and state, or kingdom and kingdom, and there was no unity. People of one particular kingdom, they did not know anything about other kingdom, and they thought that they are different from them. But when British came to India, they merged all together, and whole India was, brought under the control of British. They provided a unity of administration, or a political unity from Kashmir to Kanyakumari, Bengal to Gujarat. The whole India, what we call the subcontinent, or a Jambu Dvipa, that was brought under a single political rule, that is under the British. Now people began to think, we belong to this area, are the civilians of this country, or citizens of this country. We belong to one country or one nation, that is India. Either they are from Kashmir, or from Kanyakumari, or from Bengal, or from Gujarat, or from any other country, states of India, that we are all one, that is Indians. Oh, before that, we never felt that. Now, because of the unified administration, or a uniform system of administration introduced by the British, now we felt that we are Indians, we belong to one nation. That also supported the rise of Indian nationalism. This is the second factor. Thirdly, Western system of education. Western system of education. The Indians, they used to get education in Sanskrit or in the vernacular languages. Vernacular means Indian language, local language. The different languages they used to get the education. But when British came to India, they introduced English education. Tamil Nadu 1828, the English education was introduced. Lord Macaulay, he introduced English education in India. But this education, the English education, which enlightened the Indians, and they could go through the book of history, and they came to know why French Revolution took place, why American War of Independence took place, why revolution in England taken place, why revolution in Russia, revolution in some other country took place, and they can understand. They came to know the value of republic, value of democracy. They also came to know the constitution. So all these, the modern political ideas were imbibed by the people of India after going through modern education. All modern education or English education gave much information, much enlightenment to Indians. They now understood the value of a nation, the value of nationalism, and the degree of exploitation of British in India. So these things, this much educated Western system of education is also one of the important factors for the rise of Indian nationalism. And fourthly, racial superiority. What is the racial superiority? British always thought that they are superior race because they are all white colored people. They are white complexion, and we people are black. And these white colored people, so-called British, they considered as they are the superior. And they were meant for rule, not to be ruled. And Indians are always to be ruled, that is by the British. So this is superior complexities. When the British came in front of Indians, Indians have to bow their head. And at the same time, they used to call Indians as kutte, dog, pig. By using these words, they called Indians. They never called the name. They called dog, come here, pig, come here. So like that, this is how the treatment, very shocked to hear these things. The Indians never tolerated these very low level treatment made by the British, and they had no respective places in the administration. They never given any post, high post to the Indians in the civil service. And at the same time, they had no much position in the political level, in the administration level. So that is why Indians never tolerated all these exploitative things, not only in economic exploitation, but social exploitation or religious exploitation. They always criticized the Indian religion, especially Hindu religion was criticized by the British or British, that is Christian missionaries. So that is why they never tolerated that. Also this racial superiority and racial ill-treatment made by the British is another important cause for the rise of Indian nationalism. Fifthly, British waged war, waged several wars, and followed reactionary policy. Reactionary policies. Reactionary policies. In order to control Indians, Indian states, Indian rulers, British waged several wars in India. In the different parts of India, there are different kingdoms. Against them, for example Mysore, for example Maratha, for example Hyderabad, for example Oudh. So all this, and even the Rajput kings, these, and even Bengal, Siraj-ud-Dawla, and with all these rulers, they waged war. They fought war. At the same time, they followed reactionary policies against them. For example, doctrine of lapse. By those rulers, they died without any male issue or male child. Their kingdom, that is, lapsed to the government, or British government controlled that their kingdom. And subsidiary alliance system, another pretext of British to control India, subsidiary alliance system. By giving the assistance to the Indian rulers, they automatically, they wanted to control these native rulers. And at the same time, this subsidiary alliance system, or even what you can see, doctrine of lapse, Calcutta University, at all various things what we can see, that led to disgust of Indians, and this is another important cause for the rise of Indian nationalism. And lastly, and sixth point, Indian press and literature. Indian press and literature. Press means what? Newspapers. Earlier, people never knew about the British rule. What was the nature of British rule? How they were treating the people. Because nobody can speak against the British, and if they speak also, it may not be reached to the mass. And what are all the things they are doing? What are all the exploitative measures adopted by the British? Were not known to common people of India. When now literature and press developed, through press, newspapers, they focused the exploitative policy of the British, and newspaper and the printing machineries came, and that's why newspapers developed, and newspapers, they reached nook and corner of the Indian states. When people read this in the newspapers or in the pamphlets, now they came to know. Till that, they were ignorant towards the British activities. But they came to know now. So how British are very, very dangerous. How they are exploiting India. As I said, even Dadabhai Nauroji, R.P. Dutt, and various other people, they focused the exploitative measures of the British. Are there dangerous policies to control India? Now they came to know how these, everything. And at the same time, various other literatures regarding the British or Indian independence, which awakened the Indians in the nook and corner of the Indian villages. People used to read these literatures. For example, some literatures which completely criticized the British activities, and some other nationalistic literature, they glorified the Indian past, history of India, the great ages of Ashoka. That is very good. Great ages of Guptas, it was glorified. The India was such a, had such a culture and, wealth in India. But how they are British, exploiting we people. So these things were focused by this press and literature. Now people came to know this very dangerous people, they are British, and we should fight against the British for the purpose of emancipating India, or to get independence to India from the hands of British. And that is why these are all the important factors that led to the rise of Indian nationalism. And it is very important to note, without these things, it would have been not possible to fight against the British. The spirit which influenced among the Indians and created a stage for fighting against the British. So in the next class, let us continue with the other important aspect. Thank you very much.
Don't forget to like our video and subscribe our YouTube channel for all the updates.